Hi, and welcome to the Boss Audits and Investigations. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Scientology Chronicles. I just want to take a moment and thank all of you for the interest in this series where we go through various government agencies, declassified documents, and investigative interviews obtained through FOIA requests. For those that may be interested, seasons 1 and 2 of the Scientology Chronicles is now available as an audio podcast on several podcast platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and many others. I want to also thank all of the new listeners that have found this content through whatever audio podcast platform that you use. If you're interested in seeing the actual documents discussed in the audio version, all of the episodes can be found on my YouTube channel at the Boss Audits and Investigations. No matter what platform you listen to the content on, please take a moment and give it a like, subscribe, share, follow, or even leave a review, as I always love when you guys leave me comments with your feedback about the episode. There is a trigger warning with all episodes. There are sensitive topics that are discussed that can be triggering to some listeners. So please take care of yourselves. So now let's jump right in. The document that we're going to go through today is a little bit different. A little different. It was an interview. I don't know how many of you remember who the Pinkerton Detective Agency from Baltimore, Maryland. The Pinkerton Detective Agency was used by a lot of very wealthy families, the JP Morgans and all of those guys. So it was a very prestigious agency, private eye, that a lot of wealthy families used. So this document is actually a conversation that John C. Bullard actually had with someone from the Pinkerton Detective Agency from February of 1963. That is the date of the report. And we are going to jump right in. Dated January 24th, 1963, requested a visit to the Pinkerton Detective Agency in Baltimore, Maryland. According to evidence compiled, the Pinkerton Detective Agency reportedly made an investigation of L. Ron Hubbard and his associations on January 22nd of 1957. It was requested that full information as to their investigation and findings be obtained. On February 4th of 1963, I visited the Pinkerton Detective Agency, located in North Charles and Fayette Streets, Baltimore, Maryland. I first talked to Mr. E.C. Fay, the manager. After I had related the information as outlined in our DRM memo, Mr. Fay called Assistant Manager C.E. McElwee into the office and briefly summarized my statements. Mr. Fay stated that he had been in Baltimore only since 1960 and would probably not be familiar with the investigation prior to that date. Mr. McElwee stated that he recalled the investigation quite vividly. He, in fact, had been the agent assigned to conduct this investigation. Mr. McElwee recalled the following information from memory. Initially, their office was requested to conduct an investigation by L. Ron Hubbard and his wife, Mary Sue Hubbard. They stated that they were interested in obtaining evidence to be used in a slander suit that they were considering bringing against some unknown individuals. Apparently, the whole thing started with a member of the founding Church of Scientology who was assigned as a guardian of a Mongolian idiot. According to the investigation, this Scientologist was accompanying the Mongolian idiot along the streets of Washington when the idiot suddenly run down the street away from the guardian, taking off his clothes in the meantime. According to McElwee, the Washington newspapers picked up on this incident and promoted it to a more than ordinary degree. Hubbard felt that this incident was being used to discredit the Church of Scientology and desired to know the individual who was responsible for continuing these articles in the papers. McElwee stated that he himself met with Hubbard and his wife at the founding church located on 19th Street in Washington. He stated that he was quite impressed with the building and its furnishings. McElwee stated that he conducted an investigation of an intermediate length and stated that, as he recalled, they did obtain the information desired by Hubbard. During this investigation, he stated that his discussions with Hubbard and his wife, Mary Sue Hubbard, led him to believe that they were a bunch of quacks. He stated that on his first visit to the founding church, he inquired as to what Scientology was. He stated that in response to this question, they tried to indoctrinate him in the beliefs of good Scientologists. McElwee stated that it was his recollection that Hubbard had requested their agency to make several other investigations after this. He stated that they had tactfully declined due to the nature of the organization. Mr. Fay stated that due to the age of this case, the files would be in New York City. He stated that he would contact the New York office and request the information contained in this investigation. The inspector suggested that he phone the Baltimore District Food and Drug Office when this information is available. And Mr. Fay stated that this would be agreeable and suggested that it would take about 1 week to obtain this information. This is the very first document where it is discussed that L. Ron Hubbard and his wife, Mary Sue, employed the Pinkerton Detective Agency because there was a flap. There's a flap that happened, this huge flap, where sounds to me like there was someone of very low intelligence with some sort of condition. And I don't really like using some of the words that they use in their reports. Sometimes they're very, very demeaning and degrading in categorizing certain types of people. It's very offensive to me. But I do read the documents as presented to you guys. These are words that were these are common words used during that time frame. So I would venture to say the flap was caused from someone who had a mental disability of some sort. So the flap happens, and Hubbard wants to know. He's got to know. Him and Mary Sue, they got to be on top and have the pulse of everything, right? So they hire the Pinkertons because they are, after all, the professionals. So, even the Pinkertons, they tried to indoctrinate the Pinkerton PI. I do find that a little interesting. And I love it. They tried to hire them for future investigations and they turned them down. The Pinkertons turned down L. Ron Hubbard and his wife, Mary Sue. And they said that they believed they were a bunch of quacks. So you guys tell me what your thoughts are, what your thoughts are with this episode. I find it interesting. We keep running through this, these documents, as we pour through these documents in this series, there are so many uh, well-known people and connections and dots to be connected with a lot of historical people and historical agencies. And the Pinkerton Detective Agency is one of those. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. No more kids in Scientology. Kids cannot consent. And please remember to spread love and kindness wherever you go. And I will catch you on the next one.